Good morning, friends. This is once again your President, Mr. Raghavinder Das. Namaskar, Sat Sri Akal, Adab. Today we are going to talk on a topic which will, after my definitions of the Quran, will finish your question mark in life that whether we are freehold properties or not, and that is the taxation. Now, this taxation could be defined in two parts, three parts. We'll talk of all of them. When was the first taxation within these cantonment boundary pillars imposed on us? Mostly people would say 1924, or maybe we'll talk of all this. And prior to this tax, what we were paying? Were we paying something? And if prior to that payment, what we were actually paying? So now today we'll talk of these topics. When house tax was not being imposed on us prior to 1880, we were subjected to income tax under the Act 2 of 1886. Most of these properties, there were no definition at that time, B3 or under civil area or outside civil areas. I have a receipt for evidence of bungalow number 121, where it clearly shows that the proprietor, Mr. Robert Hives, is paying income tax to the cantonment magistrate of Ambala. So when this imposition of house tax came in 1880 Act of Cantonment, this was the first time we were asked to pay property tax under section 21 to 24 of the chapter taxation. We must remember and must know that there was a book called Cant Manual 1909. Under that chapter of taxation, appendix 7, it is very clearly showing what and how tax has to be charged and which property is subjected to tax. Now I will read that section very clearly, word by word, so that there is no discrepancy when you understand and when I explain it. That as taxes levied in a cantonment are practically levied for the benefit of government, which has to provide for any deficit there may be, being the cantonment fund. No tax payable by government should be levied. If the tax imposed on a building and lands is payable by the owner, such buildings, etc., ought not to be exempted unless they are property of government. If by the occupier, they should be exempted only when government is occupier. So keep reading, keep listening to this part of my definition, and then analyze what is actually this taxation section is speaking. There was a Quartermaster General Circular number 9 of 1894, which clearly explains how taxation has to be. In the first step, it says taxation on officers occupying government quarters. When an officer occupies quarters, the property of government, if either by terms of in which the tax is imposed or by the arrangement between the government and officer, the tax is one which falls on the officer, he should pay it. But if the tax is payable by the owner, the government as owner is exempted Got it? We understand that either officer pays when the property is not of government, but if it is of the government, then the government is exempted. So are these properties of government, or are we exempted from tax? No. Why? Because we are owners. But today's tax superintendents, they will educate us on a fact that no, Mr. Das, you are wrong. We are seeking tax from you of the built up area. What did the definition earlier say? Taxation along with house and land, building and land. So these misgivings have to be cleared. We need to explain these things. Another definition of taxation by Quartermaster General Circular number 21 of 1894. Now this is going to clear what the tax superintendent says. The expression tax on building shall be deemed to include every tax imposed on a building, whether jointly with and land or as forming part of a holding or otherwise. Every tax imposed on rental of the building or holding, and the whole of every consolidated tax imposed for general mixed purpose. Very clearly go tell your tax superintendent, please, you even charge us tax along with the land. So let's not live in that fancier mood of the statement. Now, if my viewers can understand, I think this is more clearer than the sun, that no tax would be charged if it is a property of government. But if owned by an individual or occupied by an individual, he or she will be taxed. And this tax, which is generally called house tax, is basically along with the land. So, friends, if you read these laws, if you read these taxation chapters, even of today's 2006 book, you understand everything, that these taxes were from that very definition where we were old grants and paying land revenue when the Britishers converted us into new grants. So we were originally paying land revenue, and when these grants were sold or they transferred from the original grantee to the British officer, so they started paying income tax. And later on it was into property tax, or you could call it house tax. So now we can understand, we can link the chain very clearly, that we were basically land revenue free grants which were converted into new grants, and since then we've been paying Lagan or land revenue. Later we were imposed on income tax, and in the later part in 1880 Cantonment Act, why not in 1865 Cantonment Act, we were asked to pay this. There is a full report on income tax notification when was imposed in India, which is with me, but it relates to the whole of India, not specifically for cantonments. So how income tax was brought into India. Later we were paying taxes, which was in the form of for our shops, houses, and till date 2020 we are doing that. Now in these 57 cantonments, there are basically three types of properties. These are defined in a very peculiar manner, and I will do it in the same way. First property is main estate under building, which is self-occupied. This nature is governed exclusively by the Parliament and any adjudication on this has not to be delegated to the federal legislature. Therefore, breach of direction or change of purpose cannot be inflicted by authorities without seeking fresh sanction from Parliament. Now, where is all this written? It is written in the House Accommodation Act legislation. Does not provide for owners of such properties such redressals from federal courts. So what do you understand by this legal terminology? So we need to know what we are doing. Second type of property. This was tenements on private leases or under the House Accommodation Act. Now this would be, how much of rent are you fetching from this property in rupees? Let's talk of the present. Maybe you are drawing 20,000 or 15,000. This was being charged flat 9%. Now this was wrong. It was not taking in account of any of the expenses which even the income tax permits you, that is 30% of your flat rental income is towards your maintenance, living index or whatever towards your property. The similar thing was permissible in the cantonment, but the tax was on a little higher side because the incomes were being generated. Is the tax superintendent doing this? No, he's not doing it. And neither we know about this. The best part is, the third type of property was the complete property was on tenemency. Now, there are a lot many properties in these cantonments even today which are completely hired by the MES or the Defence Estate Officer or the Ministry of Defence, let's put it. Or maybe there are some properties which are hired by the state government. Now, these properties are either taken in what sense? We must know that whether my property or my bungalow falls under the House Accommodation Act notification. Now, how do we get to know that? So, every cantonment has a notification. That notification has become a bylaw. My cantonment, we have Umbala as a bylaw 40. So, now I know that my estate 102 at that time was within this jurisdiction. Now, the bigger part of this was that I even had a document of 1962 which said my property was derequisitioned. But these laws of House Accommodation Act, derequisition under the Rape Act were not known by Sardar Bhaktawar Singh Librihan, who was one of the senior most advocate of those days. Did not plead any of these. My father lost. Now, did he lose because of my advocate Sardar Bhaktawar Singh Librihan? No. He lost because of knowledge. Now, ignorance towards the law is no remedy. So, I am a victim of that. Now, whether this bungalow at that time in the House Accommodation Act, if you have a bylaw, you must have a survey number. That survey number must tell you if you take out the building bylaws of your cantonment. Every cantonment has it. And I think in 2009-10 when I was writing the RTI letters, lot many cantonments shared their bylaws with me. So I don't know whether they are uploaded on the website, but they would be. And now these bylaws of building will tell you whether your survey number was following only for residential or was it for residential come commercial, or whether your survey number was said to be kept vacant for any further use of the army. Now that couldn't be because you have already constructed a bungalow or a house on it. So these two bylaws are very important. These are called Schedule 1, Schedule 2 and Schedule 3 under the building bylaws. So please try and take them out. Now, what does a tax superintendent do every 3 years when he comes for a tricentennial assessment of our bungalows or houses? He doesn't come for a physical inspection, neither his team comes. Why? He sits in his office under the table, does your assessment, 10% or 15% increase, you're happy and you come back home. No, that's not the way. Stop it. Tell him to visit your bungalow. Tell him to visit your house. Let his team measure your bungalow. Identify every boundary, every corner, every house room made in the house. Whether it is self-occupied, what are the dimensions, height, everything should be chalked down. If you're satisfied with the plan made by his team, sign it. If you're not, object it. He'll not let you do these objections. Why? Because this objection will trouble him. The CEO then cannot call you after his individual arbitrary assessments done in his room, because you've already objected it. If he doesn't allow you to object it on that piece of paper or report which his team makes, immediately go to the department, CEO office, give a letter, take a receiving. This receiving or stamping of the letter is very important for you, because this will help you when the final notification of tax payment will come. So this is how a tax structure is made. Now remember, where are these instructions? 1909, the very clearly Rule 9, Quartermaster Journal Circular number 24 of 1894. It says when a tax is imposed under section 17 subsection 1 clause A, the Cantonment Act upon a person owning or occupying building, holdings or lands within a cantonment according to the circumstances has been reprinted on page 54 of Appendix 7. Even it goes to say that the Army Department Notification number 56 dated 20th January 1911, which is reproduced in the Gazette of India, page 1, dated 21st January 1911. In every cantonment British India, Government of India, in which a tax on building is for the time being imposed under section 15, subsection 1 clause A of the Cantonment Act 1910 of 15 of 1910, the following classes of buildings shall be exempted, it even says. So we will not go into that exemption, because now they say, which was earlier, if the building was not producing any income and it was lying vacant, so the tax was exempted and you were even refunded back your tax. It then moved from 1 year to 6 months, and now it has been abolished. A bungalow owner from Belgaum, who's very active in his computerization and digging into a lot of documents in Belgaum, he asked me all these questions. I'm not naming the bungalow owner. That, Mr. Das, what is the tax structure? He even shared a document of the CEO Belgaum. He rightly made report was there. Then he asked me questions. So, Mr. Das, why make such a big hue and cry on tax structure or taxation? We know we have to pay tax. Everybody pays tax, whether it is municipality, this side or that side. Agreed. Tell me, all bungalow owners, have you ever seen your original grant plan, sanctioned plan? So where is this tax report going to help you? It's going to help you in the culmination days of your eviction in these cantonments. This report made by the tax superintendent every 3 years is going to be your evidence that this was your building plan, this was the construction. Every time he will write a report, whether the building has been modified, improvised, is it a new construction, new flooring, doors, chalkerts, POPs, linter, RCC, or asbestos sheets, or the cuddy format which was made in the British time. Everything will come there, and this will help you in valuation when the GE will do in your assumptions. And the same STR, the standard table rent, can be asked under RTI. Ask for past preceding 20 years. Take a report from the immediate vicinity of the municipality. Compare them and then tell him, look, the municipality in your vicinity is charging this much of house tax. How come you are charging this much? So these are the points which you can dispute in a lawful manner, but provided you know the law. So this tax structure was never known by anybody. And this was my first fight in 2008 when Major Chauhan motivated me to all this. And I won. I share it to you today that without going to the court, After 2.5 years, the CEO Ambala made my refund. I took back my entire accessible tax charge to me. So, friends, things can be done. So, I'm culminating this tax structure point, and once again, I'm repeating that we are old grants converted into new grants, grants with proprietary rights. So, please don't hackle yourself to prove your ownership. I'm there, call me up. I'm always available to you all people. Thank you. Good day.